Hello students, today we will study poem Break, Break, Break composed by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson is one of the most popular and well-known Victorian poets of England. His poems cover a wide range of themes and are known for their rich, descriptive, imaginary, and lyrical quality. Many of them were so popular and highly regarded that they became standards for 19th century English literature. The poem Break, Break, Break is an elegy. Elegy is a sad and a thoughtful poem. Elegy means a sad and a thoughtful poem written in memory of someone who has died. It centers on Tennyson's grief over the death of his friend. Grief and the indifference of the nature are the two main themes of the poem. Nature continues to function according to its rhythm and cycles, regardless of what happens to human beings. The sea rises and falls in an unrelenting rhythm and refuses to acknowledge tragedy in the everyday life of people. Now students, let's see the poem in the stanza wise. First stanza. Break, break, break on thy cold grey stones, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Now, this poem, first of all, I would like to say this poem was written right after the sudden death of Tennyson's friend Arthur Henry Hallam. So Tennyson's friend who died, his name was Arthur Henry Hallam. Now let's start the first stanza. So this stanza tells or it presents the picture of the poet sitting near his friend's grave on the sea beach. He is full of grief at the death of his friend. Friend name is Arthur Henry Hallam. He observes the waves striking against the rocks. The poet sees the sea waves arising, advancing, and striking against the rock. The rock-bounded sea beach. It means that the sea beach is surrounded by the rocks, is hard and could not respond. Means that sea beach is surrounded by the rocks and it is very hard that it could not respond. Means when the sea waves hit, it couldn't respond. So poet feels that just as the sea is unable to express its sorrow, he himself is unable to do so. As I have told you, as when the sea is hitting the hard rock, the sea is unable to express its sorrow. So the poet himself is unable to express his sorrow. His sorrow is too deep for words. Instead, he wishes to break his silence and could utter his thoughts, but he feels his tongue tied. His tongue couldn't utter, his tongue couldn't say anything. The thoughts which arise in poet's heart cannot find expression in words, means cannot come out in a form of words. Here we see a contrast between the waves which arise and strike against the rocks and the poet's thought which arise and remains unexpressed. So here we students, we see the contrast between the waves which is arising and striking against the rock, as well as also the poet's thought is also arising like waves, but it remains unexpressed. He cannot speak it out, he cannot utter. Okay, so these four lines reflects the Tennyson's connection between the sea and himself. He is seeing the connection between sea and himself. Okay, students? Second stanza. Oh, well for the fisherman's boy that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh, well for the sailor's lad that he sings in his boat on the bay. Now, in this stanza, the poet says that he observes the life that is going on as usual. There is no change, as he is in a grief. His friend Arthur Henry Hallam has died, but life goes on. There is no break in the life. There is no effect on the life. The life is going on. So he says that he sees the fisherman's children playing by the sea, and the sailor's boy is singing in the boat while sailing through the bay. They all are enjoying. It shows that the life goes on. Even if someone passes away, the life doesn't stop. The life has to go. Now, the third stanza. And the stately ships go on to their haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of the vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still. Now the poet observes that the life is going on as usual. The ships coming from the abroad are proceeding to their harbor below the hill to rest and pack themselves again for further voyage, for another voyage, and again packing themselves for another voyage. Thus, the trend of the worldly life shows no sign of sadness. It means the life goes on. Life is not showing any sadness. Okay, so the life shows no sign of sadness. Only the poet is sad because of his close friend Arthur Hallam, who is dead now. And also says that he shall never hear the voice again. Means he can never hear his voice again. He cannot hold his hand again. He shall never enjoy his company, or he shall never enjoy the company of his friend again. He miss his friend's company. He miss his voice. He miss his touch. He miss his friend Arthur Hallam, who is no more, who is not with him. Next para, that is fourth stanza. Break, break, break at the foot of thy crags of the sea. Crags means the rough rocks. But the tender grace of the day that is dead will never come back to me. Now, in this stanza, poet is lamenting, showing the sadness. Okay, lamenting, crying. Okay, so in this stanza, the poet is lamenting the death of his friend. He is standing near the spot of his friend's burial on the seashore, watching the waves of the sea beating against the rock. Okay, beating against the rocks. The poet feel that the sea might express his grief by lashing or striking the coastal stones. Means he feels that as the sea, as the waves are beating against or striking against the stone, he feels that like this way the waves will express their sorrow. Okay, that's why they are striking against the coastal stone. But he himself would never enjoy the tender beauty. Means he could never enjoy those days which he has spent with his friend. He could never enjoy the tender beauty of the days when his friend was alive. Means his friend will never come back. He's never going to hear him again. He can never be in the company with his friend again. He miss his friend. And thus, as the waves are striking, he feels that those waves will speak out their grief. But he is standing there. He could not utter a word. He missed his friend. He missed those days which he has spent with his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. Those beautiful days which are not going to come back. Thank you, students.